So what's up, everybody? It's Moto Jimbo here. Long time no video, right? Just been crazy busy lately, moving all kinds of sorts of different things. But anyways, this video I wanted to talk about the pros and cons of owning a Chinese motorcycle. Um, there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of people that just blow smoke up your butt, trying to convince you they're the best thing ever, or there's a lot of people just trying to tell you the opposite, they're the worst thing ever. And it comes down to two things: people that own them and don't want to ever admit that there could be issues with them, and two, people that never owned them and just like to talk trash, or they got a very bad example that wasn't well maintained and it gave up on them really quick. So I've owned a few Chinese bikes, so I've got a little bit of experience, and I just want to share my opinion with you, which I've done before, but I thought it might be nice just to do a video solely on that subject. Alright, first pro is obviously the cheap price of a Chinese bike. If we want to go by the Vader here as an example, I paid right around $1,100, somewhere in the $1,000 range for my Vader. The Grom, if I bought a new one, be lucky to get it for $3,000. So that alone, you know, is an obvious choice if you're willing to go the Chinese route, anyways. Number two, cheap parts. Sorry, I've got my list over here. I have to keep checking. And sorry about the mess over here. We're just moving. Yeah, cheap parts, which that's kind of a double-edged sword too. Parts are insanely cheap for these. If my motor went out, I could replace it for like $300, which is insane. I don't even know what a Grom would cost to do such a thing. But yeah. But the other side of that is the availability of parts. Some bikes, it's a little harder to find the parts for. But the other good part about that is a lot of times Chinese motorcycle parts are interchangeable between models. Number three, there's a nice community behind Chinese bikes. There's China Rider, which I personally love. People out there sharing information, teaching each other. And they just love the experience of a Chinese bike. And if you have any problems, there's more than enough people willing to help you. And I guess the uniqueness. Like, I know this is a Grom clone, but it's not an exact copy of a Grom. And like where I live, I'm not going to see another one of these. Most likely, I'm not going to see this again. Nobody's going to have this exact bike, which I kind of like. And another one, learning opportunities. This is a big one. Let's say you crash this thing. You're out $1,000, which sucks, but you're not out $3,000 on a Grom that most likely the bank still owns. You know what I'm saying? So that's good. You'll learn to wrench because you're going to do your own maintenance, because a lot of mechanics will not do work on these, which is the other side of that double-edged sword. If you don't want to do your own work, then don't get this. But, you'll get things like tires. I had a mechanic put this tire on, but involved work, they're just not going to touch it. And they are very cheap to buy used. So if you get lucky enough to run across one, I haven't seen any used Vaders yet, but I see like $250 like Rebel clones and stuff like that. I've seen them for like $600. It's just about your luck. Okay, so that's my list of pros. And let's just go ahead and get into the cons, which some I've already talked about. But anyways, let's get into one that I haven't. Questionable distributors. You have to be really careful who you buy these bikes from, because there's some shady ass companies that sell these things. People have trouble getting their titles. They take forever to ship. Numerous problems. So my suggestion would be to check websites like China Rider and make sure to read reviews and buy it from somebody that has a reputation, a good one. Another one would be cheap metals used in some parts. I wouldn't go jumping this thing because you're going to break something, because they're cheaper for a reason. Like, they just can't take a beating like Japanese bikes. So you can see examples like here. That's cheaper metal. And there's several examples on the bike, but if you go into it knowing that, then you'll be okay. And I highly, highly recommend storing these things indoors. If you don't have a way to keep one indoors, I would question buying one, to be honest, just because of the high risk of rusting and just rotting out on you. So, as you can see, mine's like going on a year and a half old. There's no rust or anything on it, but the ones have had outdoors start getting rust pretty quick. But anyways, quality control from the factory. They don't set these things up. You're going to have to get into it and do these things. Adjust your valves, things like that. Tighten up the bolts. Like, you're just not going to get that from the factory. And if you do, you're lucky. So that's another con. Lifespan of the bike. Sometimes, I'll be honest, it comes down to the luck of the draw. Things have gotten better over the years. It's just, it's all about your maintenance too. If you keep the bike up, more than likely you're going to get more life out of the bike, obviously. But that's not a guarantee. And that's the biggest downfall of these bikes. And I'm not going to try to blow smoke up anybody's butt. You might get one of these, you might get some other Chinese bike. Thing might die on you in less than a year. You're going to have to take that risk if you want one. And the biggest thing to prevent that is just checking over everything when you get it. You can't rush it. Check your valves, check everything. But that's my best advice as far as that goes. But yeah, that's the biggest thing right there. And that's an automatic turn off for some people. But if you're adventurous and you got a little bit of a sense of humor, you'll be fine. Anyways, but if worst comes to worst and the engine blows, $300 you get a new one. You're still under a grom by a couple $1,000s. And let's see here. Low resale value. Now, this probably wouldn't have a low resale value right now because of the grom craze. Everybody's wanting one. But typically, like if you bought the Chinese version of my Rebel here, you're not going to get much out of it. I'll just be perfectly honest with you. You can get like $1,200 out of this one. Chinese version, you'll be lucky to get $8. Anyways, yeah, that's the other downside. So if you buy one, don't expect to make your money back, basically. Like, it's not going to happen. People will just, lowball you and all kinds of things just because it's Chinese. And basically, that's it, guys. If I missed anything, feel free to comment. But that's all I could think of right now. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And I hope, you give Chinese bikes a try. Even if it's just, a little 50cc scooter. Something like that. Something you pick up for $100. Just give them a try. You'll be surprised. I'm really satisfied with the Grom. The Vader, excuse me. I have a habit of calling it the Grom. But I'm really satisfied with it. I haven't got to ride it as much as I'd like to lately. Just because of how busy things have been. But she's still going strong. And actually, I'll go ahead and start it up for you. So I'm not talking a bunch of bullshit. All right. See, starts right up. It's a little cold, but Still running strong. So, there you go. But anyways, you guys, I really do hope you enjoyed this video. And I hope it, was a little educational. I need to clean this thing. But anyways, that's it, you guys. See you later.